All right, good morning, guys. This is Solving Systems of Equations, a little bit of a review. So I'm just going to go over these two sheets with you. So first off, we have three different types. I only went over two with you guys. I just did substitution and elimination because I understand some of you do not have calculators. But I just want to explain the difference in when you should use which one. So first off, just looking at A and B and C, when we're doing substitution, we want to find something that has a coefficient of 1. So we can go ahead and say that we're not going to use substitution for system B because we would have to solve out and subtract an x and then divide by a 4, or subtract an 8x and then divide by 5. So that's a little too many steps. We would much rather do either C or A. And in my opinion, it really doesn't matter which one you use to do substitution. I would probably pick C just because we already have a y down here that we can solve for. But on the answer key, they did A. So I'm just going to stick with it just for clarity's sake and the people that use the answer key but don't watch the video. So we will subtract x and, we will add y because we're substituting. So we're just going to write this again. We're going to add y because we can solve for either y or x here. Right, so we are substituting in this expression, which is equal to x. We're substituting that in to the other one. So that will be 7 parentheses y minus 2 plus 2y equals negative 5. And then we will distribute. And that will be 9y. I'll go ahead and add over that 14, which will be 9, and y will equal 1. So we did choose to do substitution here. Y equals 1, so we take that and plug it back in to our original equation that we solved for x. So that will be x equals y minus 2. We plug in 1, and that will give us a negative 1. So our final answer for our solution is negative 1, positive 1. All right, so if we use substitution there, we're going to use elimination for this next one. And again, if we don't have the same numbers, just like we did in the elimination lesson, we're going to put both sets of equations in parentheses. We're going to multiply the top one by the leading coefficient of the bottom. And we're going to multiply the bottom one by the opposite of the leading coefficient of the top. So our new equation will be 24x plus 15y equals negative 39. And we will have negative 24x, so now we can cancel those out, minus 24y, 8 times 4 is 32. 32y, and negative 80. All right, so we're just going to add these down. The x's cancel out. We'll be left with a negative 17y and a negative 119. All right, so then let me grab my calculator and divide that real quick. 119 divided by 17 will be 7, and that will be a positive 7. So we've got that 7. We're going to take that y and plug it into the other one. And I will plug it into these left equations and not these right here because they're just smaller numbers. It's going to be a lot easier to work with. So we will do 3x plus 4y equals 10. I'm going to plug it into that one, and I'm going to plug that 7 in for y. So 3x plus 28, that will give me a negative 18, and x will be a negative 6. So we have negative 6, 7 as our solution there. Now for graphing over here, I'm going to show you substitution and graphing. I'm really not too concerned with you guys graphing just because you can type it into a calculator. And if you guys have calculators at home, then I have a calculator here on my iPad that I'll show you how to do it, but I really want to show you substitution first. So if we just subtract negative 2x right there, that's pretty easy to do substitution, right? And we can just take that and plug it in for the other. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. If you do substitution, graphing, or elimination for all of these, you're going to get the same answer. It's just 3 different ways of getting it. Sometimes one's a lot easier than the other. So we will have 4x minus 3 times negative 2x plus 4 equals 18. We're going to distribute that negative 3 negative 2x minus 12 equals 18. We will add that 12. And x will equal negative 15. That, what did I mess up on? Negative 6, negative 12, negative 2x, add 12. I feel like I messed up somewhere. I don't think I get a negative 15 here. Let's see. Negative 2x plus 4. Plugging it back in. I'm human. I make mistakes too. Just can't see where it is yet. Plus 12. You know what? I'm just going to try again. If I get the same answer, then that's okay. And that's a little embarrassing that this video will be a little longer, but you know what? No big deal. Negative 2x plus 4. Oh, there it is. It's going to be a plus 6x. Wow. Sorry to make you wait. And that will be 30, and x equals 3. There we go. Okay. So, I make mistakes too. So then we take that x equals 3 and plug it back in to the y right here. So it'll be y equals negative 2 times 3 plus 4. Negative 6 plus 4, and that will be in negative 2. So 3, negative 2 is our answer. So hypothetically, if I took this same thing and did it by graphing, I would need to solve them out both for y, and I'd plug it in, and I should get this same answer. So let's double check that. Our second one, or our first one, let's go ahead and solve for it. We have negative 3y. I'm going to subtract the 4x. Now divide everything by negative 3. So my first equation will be 4/3 x minus 6. And then my second equation, we already solved for y for that one. That'll be negative 2x plus 4. So I would take those two and plug them into y equals, which I've already done on a calculator app. So here's y equals. I got 4/3 x minus 6, negative 2x plus 4. I'll do second trace 5 and enter 3 times. And as you can see here, we've got 3. Oh. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. I tried to zoom in, but it won't let me do it. As you can see in the left corner of the screen, you 3, and in the middle of the screen, negative 2. So there's our answer, and it is the exact same as 3, negative 2 here. So we are good. All right, as far as the review, I don't want you to do these if you don't have a calculator. For 1 and 2, don't worry about them if you don't have a calculator. If you do, it's a great practice. But I mean, all you're doing is plugging into y equals second trace 5, enter 3 times. So a little bit more review. I'm just going to do one of these, and I want you guys to practice the others. Okay, so I'll do the odds, you do the evens. So for number 3, we take 7x plus 6 and substitute it in here. 4x minus 3, 7x plus 6 equals 16. Minus 21x minus 18 equals 16. So that's going to be a negative 17x. And I'm going to add that over, and it'll give me a 34. So x will be a negative 2. Then I take that negative 2 and plug it in for y. Negative 14 plus 6, and that will be negative 8. So our answer here is negative 2, negative 8. All right, for number 5, they did not solve one for us, but it's easy to see that x will be the easiest one to solve for, just because it has 1 as a coefficient. So we'll add 4y over, and that will give us x equals 4y plus 12. So I circle that, plug it in for x up here, and that will be 4y plus 12 minus 5y equals 15. 12y plus 36 minus 5y, 7y, and then I'll subtract 36 over, so that'll give me a negative 21, and y should give me a negative 3. I'll take that negative 3 and plug it in here, and that x should be 0, which is perfectly fine to get. It's okay to have something. That just means if x is 0, it's going to be on the y-axis, right? We didn't move left or right at all. So 0, negative 3 is your answer there. For For elimination, again, we want our signs to be different. So for the bottom one, when we have similar coefficients, we just need to change the signs so that they will be different. So that's like the first section that we did in elimination. So the x's cancel out. That will leave me with 5y equals 15 and y equals 3. So I'll take that y equals 3 and plug it back in for y. So x minus 3 equals negative 10. I'm going to add 3 over to each side, and that'll give me a negative 7. So, negative 7, x comes first, 3 is your answer. And lastly, number 9 is like one we just did. This is one where we need to multiply the top by the leading coefficient of the bottom. So see, sometimes people will say, Mr. White, I really don't need to multiply the top because the leading coefficient of the bottom is just 1. Well, exactly, but it still works out if you do that every single time. So yes, you could see that you just need to multiply the bottom by a negative 3, but if you follow these steps every single time, it will cover those problems as well, which you can easily see. So our top one stays the same because we're multiplying by 1. The bottom one will be a negative 3x minus 6y minus 33. So here, the x's cancel out and the y's cancel out, and we're left with 0 equals negative 6. Now, is that a true statement? No, it is not. So that means it's no solution. If we had 0 equals 0 and that was a true statement, then our answer would be infinitely many. But what no solution means with these two equations, it means we have two lines and they never intersect at all. So those are parallel lines. So in other words, these two lines are parallel. There's no way that they would ever intersect. And if you had something like this, where the two lines intersect infinitely many times, then they're the exact same line. They're laying on top of each other. So that's a little review. You have a really easy day for me today. 4, 6, 8, and 10. And if you do have a calculator, knock out 1 and 2 as well.